Welcome back to the channel. I told you it wouldn't be that long. All right, we did the news. You hopefully caught that video. If you didn't catch the news, catch the news video, all right? That's the video I released right before this one, maybe about 30 minutes before. That video is gonna give you the pretext for the analysis we're gonna do in this video. I think they're both very related. What's going on in the news is gonna directly affect the markets, so we need to take a look at them. But we're gonna go ahead and do today our normal table of contents, our normal routine. All right, that's going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, EGLD, and then Cardano. I know that I've said in the past I'm going to start doing more coins, and I plan on doing it. I just have not had enough time lately. So when I have the time, I will start adding some more. But for now, and there'll be separate videos for those. I'm always going to do these four together, but there will be more videos coming on different coins. So keep an eye out for those. They're going to be coming in the next few weeks. Okay, so make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and let's get started. All right. All right, game on. We're on Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, it's been pretty interesting. All right, one thing that you guys know, I've been talking about this head and shoulders pattern for quite some time, and it's been completed. I mean, we've seen this head and shoulders pattern complete, and we've seen the breakout. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you knew that this breakout was coming when the price was like around here. Right? At this point in time, I said that we would likely be seeing a drop down to around 55,000, 55,400, somewhere around that area, and then we would start to rise up. That's exactly what's happened. This yellow line in the middle of your screen is our prediction. So our prediction has not even hit, it's hit about halfway so far at around 65K, but we're still looking for a rise up to 70K. So with Bitcoin right now, what's really interesting is that, you know, it's quite stable in this area. It is quite interesting, but if you look at the volume on the right-hand side, even though we've been trading in this area for a couple of days now, one thing that you'll notice is that the volume here is still very, very low, right? You can really see it right there. The volume is still really low. The real volume starts at around 60K, between 59 and 60K. So this area here has massive volume. We are still in a discovery phase almost. The only thing that we can say now is that we do have some support starting to build at 63,000. But at this point, what I would love to see, now I'm going to tell you what I would like to see and where I'm placing a few orders in order to accumulate more Bitcoin, and what I think could happen, because what I would like to happen may not be what exactly happens. So what I would like to see here is I would like to see a dip coming down to this red line and dropping a little bit below it and hitting the 61,000 to 60,000 mark, and then coming back up and starting a bigger run up. And the reason I would like to see something like this is because that's going to put in a lot more volume in this area. This area has no volume right now. That's basically between 61,000 and 62,000. The reason it has no volume is because we shot right through it. So coming back down at this point and adding some extra volume here is going to be really important for the long run, because you don't want to have too many gaps. You'll see in this much bigger time frame, we filled a lot of the gaps. There were not too many big gaps that just went back to this area, right? So this gap here at 61 and 62 has not been filled yet, and I would like to see the price come down and touch this range and then move up. It makes perfect sense for something like this to happen, because it would be another touch on this trend line. And you'll definitely notice historically, we have hit this trend line numerous times. I'm actually gonna get rid of this head and shoulders pattern. We don't really need it anymore. So you'll see we've hit this trend line numerous times. I've talked about it numerous times, so I'm not gonna go over it again. But the fact of the matter is that a move like this right now is not only entirely feasible, but it's very plausible, because you have a lot of people that are now in profit. And there's a lot of new Bitcoin buyers out there. So seeing some of those new buyers taking profit in this area, it's very possible for that to happen, especially if it goes sideways and sees a little bit of weakness. Then seeing a dip down just because of fear is entirely possible. I hope that happens. So I have my orders right now sitting at around 61,000 and 61,500, because if it drops to those levels, I'd like to accumulate a little bit more. If it drops lower, then I'll probably add a few more orders. But right now, that's really the level I'm looking at, and I think those are decent places for orders for me. Now, whether or not they're good places for you, that's up to you. You got to do your own risk management, and you got to decide what price you're willing to buy something like this on, because for me, even if Bitcoin was to drop down to 40K, I'm not selling any of it. I'd be buying more at that point. But if you put in money now and it drops down, are you going to be able to hold? Are you going to be able to stick it out? That's up to you. So you got to do your own analysis, do your own risk management, and figure it out. So this is what I hope happens. Now, what do I think really could happen? Okay, so one thing that's very, very noticeable here is that we have been sticking to this blue moving average like anything. I mean, I'm going to zoom in on it so you can see just how well we are sticking to that moving average. Okay, this is since about the 9th or the 8th of April. Okay, since the 8th of April here, and we've been moving up, we have really been hugging this moving average, and we've only wicked below it. There has not been one candle close below this moving average. That is very indicative of a lot of upwards price momentum. That means the momentum right now is pushing the price in an upward direction, and right now we're not seeing any indication of that reversing. In order for that to reverse, what really needs to happen is we need to see a candle close below the blue line. So that's what I'm looking out for in order to see if that drop's going to happen. But right now it doesn't seem like it. What seems like a lot more feasible of an option is that the blue moving average will continue to move up in this fashion, and the price would then keep bouncing off this moving average and move up. Now, at a certain point when it moves like this, you have what I like to call bursts, all right? And we've seen a couple of those bursts, all right? We saw one burst here very recently, okay? And we saw another burst here. So the longer it hugs this moving average, the longer the price momentum builds up, and you have a burst up. Another burst up of one of these natures would be putting the price, if we just take either one of these circles and we put it up here, right? Another burst like that would be taking the price up to around 66,000, okay? So if we start to see a burst like that coming, that's just going to further confirm that we are hugging the blue moving average and we have started a parabolic uptrend. I think that's very feasible right now because we have done a ton of consolidation. I don't want that to happen, not yet. I want to come back and I want to fill this gap because here's the deal. If we do have a move like that, right? Let's say we have that parabolic shift up and we keep having Bitcoin move in that upwards direction and start going closer to 70K now. There's a very good possibility that the price would dip back down and consolidate again, and then we would see the volume come into this gap. So in reality, if it's not going to come back down to this level now, it could very well come back down to this level later, and we see something similar to the previous times we hit new all-time highs, right? We hit a new all-time high here. We had a consolidation. Then we moved back up, hit a new all-time high, consolidation. Now we have once again started moving up. All right, we're moving up and we're at a new all-time high. But this has been a much more stable move up. It's not been as parabolic as the previous ones. So a dip down from a high like this wouldn't be as big as the previous dips. It would most likely, if it were to dip now down to a maximum, it probably wouldn't go below 59K. But if it were to go up to 70K prematurely, then seeing a dip back down to 60K or even 59 again is not out of the question. So I think it's much more likely that we do see that upward price movement and we see that hugging the blue moving average. That is our 20 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart. That's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. As far as patterns go, we're starting to put in a small triangle here, nothing major to look at. It's in price discovery, so we don't really know what else is going on. The only other thing that we can see if we want to draw a trend is that we definitely have a resistance trend forming in this direction. Okay, we're going to have to actually fix that. That's going to come, hang on a second. All right, so that resistance trend is coming up in this direction here. All right, now whether or not we're going to keep this resistance trend going, we don't know yet. But looking at a resistance line like this is very important because if you do see the price break this resistance trend, then flip it as support. That's a very good indication that the price is just going to keep moving up because this has been our all-time high resistance trend right now. It's basically following the two previous all-time highs. So that's another thing that I'm looking at. I haven't plotted that on the chart yet because it's not confirmed, but it might be something I add to the chart very, very soon because it's starting to be very feasible that if we do follow that trend, that we could even have the other dip once we start touching around 67,000, 66, 67,000. If we hold that trend line and we keep moving up, and then at this point here, we drop, that's a possibility. Now, another thing to look at, if we look at this in this way, is we actually have a wedge forming. And these wedges can break bearish. So a larger wedge like this over time can be a bearish break. Now, if we do have a bearish break out of this wedge, then you could see the price fall back down to around 50K, right? So seeing another big drop like that is possible, but even this is not confirmed yet. What's really going to confirm a wedge like this is if we see whether or not the price is going to break out. If the price doesn't break out and it keeps consolidating and it gets stuck in this wedge, then we're really going to be looking at this, and this is going to be a key area here, because that could be where we see a drop, right? If it loses that price momentum. So keep it in mind, there's a number of patterns happening on the Bitcoin chart. I'm looking at all of them, but I'm only putting on the chart what I think is most important for right now. And right now, what's most important is that we're holding this moving average, but you want to be aware of everything else. That's it for Bitcoin. Let's move on to Ethereum, and we will take a look at what's going on there. All right, let's see with Ethereum. All right, Ethereum is looking crazy. Ethereum has broken out pretty massively, and it has crossed 2,500. If you look at our Fibonacci retracement that we've been following since the price was sitting at around 1,500, we are now at the top of that Fibonacci retracement. This is a very, very key area for Ethereum. What Ethereum needs to do now is it needs to flip 2,500 as support. If it drops below 2,500, then we are definitely looking for the potential of the price going all the way back to this green line here, which is around 2,100. So this is a time to be very cautious of Ethereum. You'll notice that this is really where the major support line lies. Everything above 2,100, we have not put in a lot of support there. So coming back to these levels is extremely possible. I think it's unlikely that we just see Ethereum continue to move in a straight line up. I mean, it could happen. I've seen it happen before, but that will likely result in a big consolidation up in this 29 to 2,800 range if that does occur. If it does go like this, you'll probably see the price coming down and consolidating here. If that doesn't happen, then the other option is that it drops and it starts consolidating either on this trend line or dropping back to here where we have the support. So this is a time to be very cautious of Ethereum, because Ethereum has made massive gains in a short period of time. You'll see just from where we are at the 20 exponential moving average on the 12th, so 3 days ago, Ethereum is up about 20%. Right? There's been no consolidation since that point. So bare minimum, we should expect the price to come back down and touch the 20 exponential moving average, which is sitting at around 2,300. But I'm starting to think it's very likely that we will come back down and touch the 100 exponential, which is sitting at around 2,100. Now, the other thing that I can show you with Ethereum that's pretty key is that the RSI is overextended. It's not super overextended yet, but almost every other time that Ethereum has been in this range is where we started a new downtrend of consolidation. So you'll see that here when we went over it quite extensively. This is where our consolidation occurred. So now that we've had a big run up, starting another consolidation and doing that in this range is very, very possible. So keep it in mind. I wouldn't be Personally, I'm not purchasing Ethereum at this price. My orders right now would be sitting anywhere between 2,100 and 2,200. I think that's a safe range to place orders. And, it may not hit, may never hit those prices again. We don't know. But where the RSI is and how fast it's moved up in the last 3 days, it seems like a very likely scenario that certain people may start taking some profits, because there have been a lot of people buying Ethereum at very low prices and they haven't taken profits yet. So as that happens, seeing a dip, entirely feasible. But that's about it for Ethereum. We'll see what happens with it. Ethereum is one that we're going to have to keep a look at daily, because right now what's most important is whether it holds 2,500 as support. If it doesn't, if it starts dipping, I would expect a bigger dip to come in. And not that that's a bad thing. I mean, adding more volume here is going to be really good. So seeing dips are not bad. You know, is what you want to see at times. But I'll be honest with you right now, even if Ethereum moved up to 2,700 and then flipped 25 as support, it would not shock me, because Ethereum, I mean, I was telling you guys, like when I first started doing my YouTube videos, Ethereum was trading for under $1,000, and I was telling you guys that Ethereum is worth bare minimum 3,000. That was my minimum value for it. So the fact that it's not even there yet tells me there could be plenty more room for this to move. So keep it in mind. But for right now, seeing a dip and some consolidation, very possible. Sorry for the noise. That's my dog. I don't know if you can hear her, but my wife just got home, so she's excited. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to go to EGLD now, all right? Now with EGLD, there's some very interesting things happening, all right? We are seeing, first of all, the first thing I want to show you is this, all right? The first thing is, like I showed you with Bitcoin, right? You got to look at your all-time high trends. So if we create a trend line at this peak, okay, and we move this trend line upwards, what you'll see here is that we are at a point now where if EGLD breaks past around 240 and then holds above that level, it is going to be entering a much more bullish pattern, because then it's going to be going over the previous resistance, because it already set a high right here, right? And we have another high right here. So we have a trend line already existing for this. So if it breaks out and goes above this yellow line, that is a key indication that the price is going to keep moving up very quickly. Now with EGLD, it's been undervalued for so long that, I mean, EGLD should be trading at 1,000 right now. That's what it's worth. But it's trading at 226. So if it's trading at 226 and people are starting to see the value, seeing it go up parabolically wouldn't be a shock to anybody, especially not the people who really understand EGLD. What's going to end up happening with EGLD, in my opinion, is that more people are going to start spreading news about it. People are going to start figuring out how undervalued this thing is, and people are going to keep buying it. And as they buy it, they're going to stake it, and our staking percentage is going to go up. And it would not shock me in the slightest if we were to break above this trend line and start a new bullish pattern up. So this was the first thing that we wanted to look at, okay? So we're going to take this trend line and we're going to change the color, because this is one that we're going to hold on this chart. Okay, so we'll make it light blue. We'll keep that on our chart and we'll lock it in place, all right? We're going to be watching this. Now we're going to zoom in a bit and we're going to look at a shorter time frame for EGLD. All right, so if we're looking at a shorter time frame from EGLD, all right, what did I just teach you guys about, or what did I just talk to you guys about in the Bitcoin video, right? We were just talking about the 20 exponential moving average. Now, the 20 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart is very important, because when you're starting a major bullish pattern, you really hug that moving average. And we have been hugging that moving average since the price was sitting at around $140. Since March 31st, so almost the entire month of April, we have been hugging that moving average and we have kept moving up. And now we are seeing massive support at that moving average. I mean, as we're hitting that moving average, we are breaking above it every single time. We're reaching a very critical point now, though, because if you start looking at this as a triangular formation, what you start to see is this. Hang on, let's go ahead and put in couple of trend lines here. We're going to change the color back to yellow. All right. And what you're going to see here is that this flag pattern that we're starting to see, this symmetrical triangle that's coming in, is showing us that we are not far from making a decision on what's going to happen in this area. Now, another thing to keep in mind, if you look at the right-hand side, we have put in a great amount of volume in this area between 215 and 230. The volume profile there looks really good. You know, surprisingly good on a short time frame. If we move on to a little bit of a longer time frame, you'll see it doesn't look as good on a longer time frame. So there's always still the potential that we drop down on because of the long time frame, right? The VPVR on the right changes based on the time frame. If I zoom in to a shorter time frame, so if I go like this, and I go to a shorter time frame, now you're seeing the volume of that shorter time frame. So this is basically the volume in the month of April, right? It's been concentrated in this area, and it's looking really good as far as where the volume was in the other areas for this same time period. Now, if we zoom into a bigger time period, the VPVR will change, and the VPVR is now showing us the volume profile for that longer time period. In the longer time period, what you see here is that you do still have a great amount of volume here, but there is the potential of dropping back to around that 200 level because there is a gap here. Coming back down and testing that gap and then moving back up is also feasible, right? That can always happen. And if that does happen, it's not a bad thing, because I'll tell you this much. If EGLD goes back to 200, I'll be a buyer at 200 now. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have too many opportunities to buy it below that again. So, I mean, that would seem like a smart place to buy. I mean, unless we get really lucky and out of some miracle, EGLD drops all the way back down to 150, that would be terrific. I would love to buy some more EGLD at 150, but I don't know if that's a possibility. Right now, what seems most likely to me is that we reach the end of this consolidation pattern and we either break bullish and then have a slow move above the major trend line and then flip it. Right? If we flip that as support, then we're probably going to have another parabolic move up and start going towards 300. That's scenario A. All right. Scenario B is that we come in and get to the end of this triangle and then we drop a bit. And then we could just consolidate here and start moving up again. Because remember, you do have this moving average below you. You have, right now we're hugging our 20 exponential moving average. Our 50 exponential is right below us. And even below that, we have our 100 exponential. These are great price targets for us to take a dip down to. And it could even wick down to this level, come back up, and then continue moving. So this is scenario B, that you come down and touch one of these moving averages. That means for me right now, some good buy spots would be around 210 and probably 195. 195 I think is hopeful. I don't know if that would happen, but that's probably where I'd want to set my just in case orders if I want to buy lower. Now, the other thing that could happen here is that we just move up and down and we extend the triangle, right? We do something like this and suddenly our triangle gets bigger, and then we have to continue watching it and see where we think it's going to go. But right now, I'm in the camp that as long as we are hugging this 20 exponential moving average, I'm looking for EGLD to burst out of this thing and break 250, set a new all-time high around 260, 265, and then come back and test 250. And if it holds 250, then we zoom out and we see that we will be trading either on or above this massive trend line of our two tops. If we break these tops, set a new top, and create a new trend line, that's going to be very, very impressive. So that's what I'm really looking to see right now. And I think that that's likely what we are going to see. I could be wrong. So remember, any trades you make, do your own risk management, take the information I'm giving you, make your own decision. This is just what I think is very feasible based on what I'm seeing here. If you actually look at this on a much larger time frame, there's a lot more symmetry going on within this chart as well that tends to show me, I mean, if you just look at this, look at the way that this has gone parabolic, all right? So we had a parabolic move up, a parabolic downtrend, back into a parabolic move up. This is indicative of very, very bullish activity. It means that it went up here. You had a lot of people take profits. You had a lot of consolidation, but it's so bullish that it broke right above this all-time high with no effort at all within 2 weeks. You know, that is massive bullishness happening, and it makes sense. I mean, there's so much going on with EGLD that people don't know. You know, I mean, I literally was getting people on Twitter telling me that EGLD's a Ponzi scheme because they don't understand it. And it's like, fine, sell your EGLD. I'll buy it. You know, just go ahead and sell it if you don't believe in it. That's fine with me. But what I think right now is what I just told you. I think we hold this 20 exponential moving average and we break out of here, we could be seeing EGLD within the next couple of weeks breaking $300. I'm very curious to see if that happens. That's it for EGLD. Let's move on. Oh, you know what? One other thing for EGLD, all right, we'll wrap up with EGLD, is that the RSI is sitting right now at around 54. Okay? Now, if you don't understand what that means that EGLD is sitting at $226, and the RSI is at the same place that it was when the price just a few weeks ago was sitting at 170. That is showing incredible strength. That is showing that the asset is very, very much in a bullish momentum pattern. It means that our consolidations are getting so small that the sell pressure is diminishing. And the more the sell pressure diminishes, the only thing that happens when buy pressure comes in is that the price moves up. So fundamentally, everything is looking really great on the EGLD chart right now. And I told you guys during this entire consolidation we had previously, this is what we were looking for. We were looking for a major breakout and going above this all-time high. It's exactly what we're seeing. So seeing this continue would not be shocking in the slightest. I'd be looking to have our next major consolidation somewhere in the 300 to 340 range. So that's what I'm hoping for. But once again, could be wrong. So do your risk management, and we'll get back to EGLD again in the next video. It'll be in a couple of days and we'll have an update. Let's move on and wrap up this video with Cardano. All right. So Cardano has also set a fresh all-time high. Now, what's very interesting with Cardano is I've been telling you for a while, all right, Cardano was stuck in a very, very narrow range, basically right there. It was trading there for so long. I mean, look at the volume there compared to everything below it. You know, there's barely any volume below it. It just broke out massively and set all its volume into $1 to $1.30. What that means is that $1 to $1.30 is a very stable area. You're not going to have a lot of selling happening here because this is where you had a lot of buying happening. Now, what's key about this is that we set one top, we set another top, and this can be a very bearish thing if you don't break that top. We have just broken that top. Now, because we've broken that top, it is showing that this entire consolidation was more than likely a bullish consolidation. This doesn't seem to be a bearish consolidation. That tells me that Cardano might just be getting started to have another move similar to what we saw here. All right, similar to a move like this. This type of parabolic move with Cardano is very feasible. And if you take a look at how the chart looks right now, it basically looks how it did here up until there, right? That is pretty much what it looks like now, meaning that having a massive candle come up and shoot the price all the way up to like $1.70 or $1.80 is not out of the question. That could very well happen. Take a look, if I zoom out on this, at the volume. All right, look at how good the asset is doing, and then look at the volume. The buy volume right now is nothing compared to the volume that we saw when the price shot up all the way from 38 cents up to $1.45. Now, granted, this was during the Coinbase listing, so a lot of the volume came from new investors in Coinbase. But the other thing to keep in mind with Coinbase is that a lot more people are being onboarded to Coinbase every day. I know people that are starting to create Coinbase accounts daily, like new people, not new people, but people that I know, but that have never been into crypto are starting to get into it. So there's going to be a lot more people that are going to want to get into assets like Cardano, and there's still a lot of people on Coinbase that don't own any. So I think it's very, very possible that we see another flood of volume come in, at the very least taking us back to around this level, right? If we start reaching these peaks again, that's going to be double the volume that we're seeing now, and it could very easily push the price up to $1.70 to $1.80. So keep it in mind. Cardano itself is looking really bullish right now. I don't really have a bearish move for Cardano at this point. I think that the key for Cardano was to break out of this pattern. If it is going to go in a bearish direction at all, it's likely going to be a very minor consolidation back to like $1.30 or $1.25, which is really nothing, and then keep moving up. As long as that follows, that's really good. What would be the most bullish thing to see right now, aside from just a huge green candle? Obviously, the most bullish thing would just see a massive green candle right now. But what I think would be equivalently bullish would be to see the candle go up and then see the price flip and turn this red line into the support. This red line has basically been the resistance. We hit two tops at this 236 line. That's sitting at $1.46. So if we can flip $1.46 into support and not drop below it, but keep moving above it for the next few days, that's going to be very indicative that the price may not be dropping again. So I don't really have any buy targets for Cardano right now. I've been staking my Cardano for many, many months. I don't plan on buying anymore unless it has a pretty big dip, and I'm not really seeing that happening. So take it as you see fit. I mean, Cardano is looking pretty bullish. I'm glad that I own some, and I'm glad that I'm staking it. So I'm very happy that it broke out of this consolidation pattern as strong as it has. So seeing this continue is going to be key. Seeing it hold above the 20 exponential moving average is also going to be key. We're also going to want to see a little bit of consolidation in order to keep the RSI in check. Right now, the RSI is sitting at an okay level. It's at about 70. Once it starts to reach around 80, 85, if it keeps moving up, then at that point, we definitely are going to be in for some downward pressure. Like if we start hitting $1.70, then you should expect the price to come back down to $1.50 to test that level of support and bring the RSI down to a more reasonable level so it can keep moving. All right, that's about it for Cardano. I think that covers everything for today. We've gone over everything. If you have questions, throw them in the comments. If you haven't seen the news video, make sure you go back and watch that news video. It was the one I released right before this TA video, so check them both out. And I'll talk to you soon. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. Links in the description. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Peace.